Hello, everyone. Today I want to tell you about something really amazing: camel farming in Kazakhstan. When people hear about camels, they usually think of deserts, sand, and maybe even long journeys under the hot sun. But in Kazakhstan, camels are much more than that. They are part of the culture, the economy, and even the daily life of families. One of the most fascinating things is fresh camel milking. Yes, camel milk. It might sound surprising, but camel milk is very healthy. People say it has more vitamins than cow milk, and it's even easier to digest. In Kazakhstan, families and farmers take special care of their camels, and milking them is not just work, it's almost like a tradition. When you watch it, it feels peaceful. The camels are tall and calm, and the farmers are gentle and patient. They don't rush. Every drop of milk is treated like something precious, and the taste, some describe it as slightly sweet and salty at the same time, very unique. Camel farming is also important for the future. It helps local people earn a living, it keeps old traditions alive, and it gives the world a healthy natural product. More and more people are starting to learn about camel milk, and Kazakhstan is proud to share it. So next time someone says cows give us milk, you can smile and say yes, but camels give us something special too. Thank you. Kazakhstan is a country with wide open steppes, deserts, and semi-arid lands where camels have always played an important role in the life of people. Camel farming there is not just an agricultural activity, it is a tradition that goes back centuries. The people of Kazakhstan have lived side by side with camels for generations, relying on them for transportation, food, and even companionship. Unlike in many other parts of the world where camels are seen only as desert animals, in Kazakhstan they are deeply connected to culture, heritage, and identity. When families farm camels, they are not only raising animals for milk or meat, but they are also continuing practices that their ancestors valued. This makes camel farming in Kazakhstan a living link between the past and the present. Camels are well suited to the geography of Kazakhstan. The climate can be harsh, with hot summers and very cold winters, and many areas are dry where other livestock cannot thrive as easily. Camels are strong and adaptable, and their ability to live in tough environments makes them especially important to farmers. For many families, camels are a symbol of survival and resilience, showing how people and animals can live together successfully even in landscapes that seem difficult. Farming camels in Kazakhstan has grown naturally out of the environment, and this is one reason why it has remained such an important tradition over time. The role of camels in Kazakh history is also fascinating. Long ago, they were used in caravans that traveled along the Silk Road, carrying goods, people, and ideas between east and west. Camels could carry heavy loads across long distances, and they were trusted partners for traders and nomads. This history still lives on in the way people view camel farming today. Even though modern transportation has replaced caravans, camels remain highly valued and respected. Farmers see them not only as animals but as part of a cultural story that connects them to the journeys and experiences of their ancestors. By continuing to farm camels, Kazakhstan preserves the spirit of the Silk Road and the traditions of nomadic life. Camel farming is also connected to the way Kazakh people live in close relationship with nature. In many rural areas, life still follows seasonal cycles, and camels are part of this rhythm. They graze on the natural vegetation of the steppe, moving with the seasons and adapting to the land. Families care for their herds with knowledge that has been passed down through generations. These traditions of animal care, feeding, and milking are taught within families, so young people learn from elders. This makes camel farming more than just work. It becomes part of education and upbringing. When children grow up around camels, they learn patience, responsibility, and respect for animals and the land. In this way, the tradition is kept alive from one generation to the next. Another aspect that shows why camel farming is important as a tradition is the way it brings communities together. In many rural villages, camels are not only individual family property, but also part of collective life. Neighbors may share responsibilities, help one another with grazing, or join together during important times such as milking seasons. Festivals and cultural gatherings often include symbols of camels, songs about them, and even competitions related to camels. All of this keeps the tradition vibrant and celebrated in everyday life. Camels are not isolated animals, they are woven into the culture, stories, and social connections of the people. The continuation of camel farming in Kazakhstan also reflects pride in national identity. As the country develops and modernizes, people still hold strongly to customs that make them unique. Farming camels is one of these customs. It shows the world that Kazakh culture values its history and traditions, even while moving forward into the future. Farmers who keep camels are often seen as guardians of heritage, and their work is respected as something that carries meaning beyond economics. The tradition of camel farming embodies values such as resilience, harmony with nature, and respect for history, which are central to Kazakh identity. Camel farming also adapts to modern needs while still staying traditional. For example, camel milk is now recognized as a healthy product, and it is being marketed more widely. But even when it is sold in shops or exported abroad, the way the camels are raised and cared for remains rooted in traditional practices. Families still pass down the same knowledge, still treat their camels with care, and still see them as part of their lives. This balance between tradition and modernity makes camel farming in Kazakhstan even more special. It shows that a centuries-old practice can still be relevant and valuable today without losing its cultural heart. Fresh camel milk in Kazakhstan is seen as something both traditional and unique, valued not only by local families, but also by people around the world who are learning about its health benefits. For centuries, camel milk has been part of the daily diet for nomadic communities living across the steppes and deserts. The harsh climate and dry lands made camels a dependable source of nutrition when other animals could not easily survive. Families discovered long ago that camel milk was not just nourishing, but also had qualities that made it different from cow or goat milk. This deep connection to camel milk has continued into the present, making it an important part of both culture and health in Kazakhstan. One of the most notable things about camel milk is its nutritional value. Scientific research has shown that it contains higher levels of certain vitamins and minerals compared to cow milk. It is especially rich in vitamin C, which is crucial for boosting the immune system. And this is particularly valuable in regions where fresh fruits and vegetables might not always be available in abundance. Camel milk also contains iron and unsaturated fatty acids, which are important for energy and overall health. The unique composition of camel milk makes it especially suited for supporting people living in tough climates, which explains why it became such an essential part of life in Kazakhstan's vast steppes and deserts. Another important quality of camel milk is that it is easier to digest than cow milk. Many people who are lactose intolerant can drink camel milk without problems because it has a different protein structure and lower lactose content. This makes it accessible for a wider range of people, and it adds to its reputation as a healthy alternative. In Kazakhstan, this property has long been known, even before modern science explained it. Families traditionally relied on camel milk to feed children, elders, and even people recovering from illnesses, because they believed it strengthened the body and supported health in a gentle but effective way. This traditional knowledge aligns with what modern nutritionists are discovering today. The taste of fresh camel milk is also something that makes it stand out. Unlike cow milk, which is usually sweet and creamy, camel milk has a flavor that is described as slightly salty with a hint of sweetness. It may take a little time for someone new to get used to the taste, but for those who grow up with it, the flavor is familiar and comforting. The unique taste is closely tied to the environment where the camels graze. Since camels feed on different types of wild plants and herbs across the steppe, their milk often reflects the natural diet they consume. This gives camel milk a special connection to the land, making every glass not just a drink, but a reflection of Kazakhstan's natural landscape. Camel milk in Kazakhstan is often consumed fresh, but it can also be used to make traditional fermented drinks. One popular example is shubat, a slightly sour beverage made from fermented camel milk. Shubat is highly valued for its refreshing quality and its reputation for improving digestion. Families often prepare it during summer when the weather is hot, and it becomes a staple drink that both quenches thirst and nourishes the body. In rural areas, offering shubat to guests is a gesture of hospitality, showing respect and care. This cultural practice highlights how camel milk is not just food, but also part of social traditions that bring people together. Beyond local consumption, camel milk is gaining recognition globally as a superfood. Researchers and health enthusiasts have pointed out its potential benefits for conditions like diabetes and allergies. Some studies suggest that camel milk can help regulate blood sugar levels and even support the immune system. In Kazakhstan, this global interest has encouraged more organized camel farming and new ways of processing milk to make it available in urban markets and even for export. However, despite the modern packaging and distribution, the milk's unique qualities remain the same, carrying the traditional value that has been appreciated for centuries. The connection between camel milk and health in Kazakhstan is also cultural. Families often share stories about how drinking camel milk made them stronger, kept them healthy through the winter, or helped them recover from tiredness. These beliefs are part of the way people think about wellness in everyday life. Drinking camel milk is not only about nutrition, but also about feeling connected to tradition and nature. It represents a way of life where food is medicine, and where health is supported by what the land and animals provide. The popularity of camel milk also shows the resilience of traditions in modern times. Even as Kazakhstan develops and cities grow, people still value the qualities of fresh camel milk. Urban families may buy it from farmers, while rural families continue to rely on their herds for daily supply. The taste and health benefits keep it relevant, while its cultural significance makes it more than just another drink. It is a reminder of heritage, of survival in a challenging environment, and of the wisdom of generations who understood its power long before scientists confirmed it. Camel milking in Kazakhstan is not just an everyday chore. It is a process carried out with patience, calmness, and deep respect for the animals. The relationship between farmers and camels has been shaped by centuries of coexistence, and this bond can clearly be seen in the way milking is performed. Unlike industrialized methods that often prioritize speed and quantity, camel milking in Kazakhstan emphasizes gentleness and care. This approach is rooted in tradition, cultural values, and practical knowledge of how to keep camels comfortable and stress-free. When a camel feels safe and calm, it produces milk more willingly, and farmers have always understood that harmony with the animal is key to successful milking. The process usually begins with preparation, which is done in a very calm and quiet manner. Camels are large animals, and they are sensitive to the environment around them. Farmers know that loud noises or sudden movements can make camels uneasy, so they create an atmosphere of trust. The person who milks the camel is often someone familiar to the animal, someone it has seen and interacted with daily. This personal bond between the farmer and the camel is essential, because camels are known to respond to individuals they recognize. By maintaining a calm presence, the farmer helps the camel relax, which makes the milking process smoother and more productive. Traditionally, calves play an important role in the milking routine. In many cases, the calf is allowed to suckle for a short while before the farmer begins milking. This natural stimulation encourages the mother camel to release her milk, and it also reassures the animal that her calf is safe and close. Farmers never separate calves from their mothers during this stage because the bond between them is strong, and breaking it would cause stress. Instead, they work with the natural instincts of the camel, allowing both the animal and her calf to feel secure. This method reflects the careful balance between taking what is needed for human use and respecting the needs of the animal. The physical act of milking is done by hand, with gentle movements that require skill and experience. The farmer sits quietly beside the camel, often singing softly or speaking in a low voice, which adds to the atmosphere of calmness. Each movement is steady and deliberate, avoiding any roughness that could make the animal uncomfortable. The hands must be firm enough to draw milk but never harsh, because camels are sensitive creatures. Over time, farmers develop a rhythm that the camel recognizes, and this familiarity makes the process almost like a form of communication between human and animal. The gentleness of the touch not only ensures that milk flows properly, but also strengthens the trust between the farmer and the camel. Cleanliness is another important part of the milking process. Farmers take care to keep the area, the vessels, and their hands clean before milking begins. This is partly for hygiene, but it is also seen as a sign of respect for the animal and the milk itself. In traditional households, the first streams of milk are often not collected but allowed to flow onto the ground as an offering, a symbolic gesture that shows gratitude to nature and the camel. This practice illustrates how camel milking is not only about obtaining food, but also about honoring traditions and maintaining harmony with the natural world. Because camels are not as easy to milk as cows, the process requires patience. Their udders are higher off the ground, and their temperament can vary depending on the time of day, the season, or even their mood. Farmers approach each camel with awareness of these factors, adjusting their methods according to the individual animal. If a camel is restless, the farmer waits until she is calm. This patience reflects a deep understanding that forcing the process would not only harm the relationship with the camel, but also reduce the quality and quantity of milk. Generations of experience have taught farmers that the best results come from respecting the camel's natural rhythm. In many communities, camel milking is more than just a task for one person. Family members, especially women and children, often take part by helping with preparation, calming the animals, or carrying the milk once it is collected. This makes the process a shared activity that strengthens family bonds while passing on important knowledge. Young people learn how to handle camels gently, how to recognize their moods, and how to perform the milking with skill. In this way, the tradition of gentle milking is passed down through generations, ensuring that it remains alive and respected. The care shown during milking also has a practical outcome. The milk retains its freshness and quality. When camels are treated well, the milk they provide is abundant and rich in nutrients. Stress, on the other hand, can reduce milk yield, which is why farmers focus on creating a stress-free environment. This careful attention shows how tradition and practical knowledge come together to create a system where both the camels and the farmers benefit. It is an approach that prioritizes balance rather than exploitation, and it demonstrates the deep wisdom embedded in Kazakh camel farming practices. Camel farming in Kazakhstan plays a vital role in supporting local families and preserving culture, blending economic necessity with traditions that have existed for centuries. For many rural households, camels are not just animals but a foundation for livelihood. They provide milk, meat, wool, and even transportation in areas where other livestock cannot adapt to the harsh climate. Families depend on these resources to sustain themselves, and in doing so, they continue practices inherited from their ancestors. The way camels fit into daily life reflects the resilience of communities that have lived for generations in the challenging landscapes of the Kazakh steppes and deserts, where survival often depends on adapting to nature rather than forcing it to adapt to people. The economic contribution of camel farming to families is significant. Fresh camel milk is a staple product that can be consumed at home or sold in local markets. With its growing reputation as a healthy food, demand has increased, giving farmers opportunities to generate income. Products such as shubat, the fermented form of camel milk, are especially popular, both within Kazakhstan and among visitors seeking authentic experiences. Families who farm camels are able to support themselves by selling milk and related products, which helps them maintain financial independence even in remote areas. In addition, camel hair can be spun into yarn and woven into textiles, creating warm clothing and blankets that are highly valued in cold winters. The multi-purpose nature of camels makes them essential assets for family survival and growth. Beyond economics, camel farming also provides food security for households in regions where agricultural options are limited. Cow or goat farming may not always be practical in the dry climate, but camels thrive in conditions that other animals cannot withstand. Their ability to graze on sparse vegetation and endure long periods without water makes them reliable providers. This reliability ensures that families always have a source of milk and other products, regardless of seasonal challenges. In this way, camels help families remain self-sufficient, reducing dependency on outside resources and reinforcing traditional ways of life that emphasize harmony with nature. The cultural importance of camel farming is just as strong as its economic role. For centuries, Kazakh identity has been tied to nomadic life, where camels served as trusted companions in migration and trade. Families that continue to farm camels today are preserving this heritage, keeping alive a connection to the nomadic past even in a modern world. The rituals of caring for camels, milking them, and using their products are passed down through generations as part of cultural education. Children learn from parents and grandparents not only how to handle the animals, but also the values of patience, respect, and responsibility that come with this work. These lessons go beyond practical skills. They embed cultural identity in everyday activities. Camel farming also plays a role in social life and traditions. In many communities, camels are featured in songs, stories, and poetry that celebrate their strength and importance. Festivals sometimes include camel-related events, highlighting their value and reinforcing cultural pride. Offering camel milk or shubat to guests is considered a gesture of hospitality, showing care and respect in a way that connects people to traditions of generosity and community. Such practices keep the cultural meaning of camels alive, ensuring they remain symbols of resilience and heritage rather than simply economic assets. Preserving culture through camel farming also involves maintaining traditional knowledge about animal care. Farmers know the natural rhythms of camels, their grazing habits, their health needs, and the best ways to ensure their comfort. This knowledge has been refined over centuries of experience and adapted to local conditions. By continuing to practice camel farming, families preserve this body of wisdom, which is an important part of intangible cultural heritage. Without ongoing farming, much of this traditional knowledge could be lost. But by living it daily, families ensure it remains relevant and useful for future generations. In recent years, the growing interest in camel milk as a health product has opened opportunities for rural families to connect their traditions with modern markets. While large-scale farming operations may exist, much of the supply still comes from small family farms that rely on traditional practices. This balance between modern demand and traditional methods allows families to maintain their cultural practices while also benefiting economically. In this way, camel farming supports not only livelihoods but also the preservation of cultural identity in a world that is rapidly changing. The symbolic value of camels in Kazakhstan further strengthens their role in preserving culture. They are often associated with endurance, strength, and adaptability, qualities that reflect the spirit of the Kazakh people themselves. When families farm camels, they are not only raising animals, but also reaffirming these cultural symbols in their everyday lives. This symbolism reinforces a sense of pride and heritage, and strengthens the identity of communities that continue to value traditions even as modern influences grow stronger. Through camel farming, families also find a way to remain connected to the land. The practice requires close attention to natural cycles, grazing areas, and seasonal changes, which keeps people in touch with the rhythms of the environment. This relationship with nature is a key part of Kazakh culture, rooted in the nomadic way of life. By continuing to farm camels, families preserve not only cultural traditions but also the philosophy of living in harmony with the land, a philosophy that has defined Kazakh identity for centuries. Camel milk is gaining global recognition, moving from being a traditional food in places like Kazakhstan to becoming an internationally valued product. For centuries, camel milk was mostly consumed in regions where camels were part of daily life, such as Central Asia, the Middle East, and parts of Africa. It was considered a vital source of nutrition for nomadic communities who relied on camels to survive in harsh climates. Now, with increasing awareness of its unique qualities, camel milk is being introduced to new markets around the world, creating opportunities for farmers and reshaping the way people think about dairy products. One of the main reasons camel milk is attracting attention globally is its nutritional profile. Research has shown that camel milk contains higher levels of vitamin C than cow milk, as well as important minerals like iron and potassium. It also has beneficial proteins and antibodies that can support the immune system. These qualities make it appealing to health-conscious consumers who are searching for natural and nutrient-rich alternatives to standard dairy products. Nutritionists and scientists have begun studying camel milk more closely, and their findings are helping spread awareness to wider audiences, giving the product credibility in international markets. Another factor behind the global interest in camel milk is its digestibility. Many people around the world experience lactose intolerance and cannot consume regular cow milk without discomfort. Camel milk, however, contains less lactose and has a different protein structure, which makes it easier to digest for many individuals. This property has led to growing demand among people who want the benefits of dairy, but cannot tolerate conventional milk. Health food stores in countries far from Kazakhstan now promote camel milk as a solution for those seeking an alternative, and this practical benefit is driving its expansion into new regions. The taste of camel milk also sets it apart, and while it may take some time for new consumers to adjust to its slightly salty and sweet flavor, it is increasingly being marketed as a gourmet or exotic product. Chefs and food enthusiasts have started experimenting with camel milk in recipes, incorporating it into desserts, drinks, and even specialty cheeses. This creative use adds to its appeal, transforming it from a traditional drink into a trendy ingredient with cultural and culinary value. In this way, camel milk is not only gaining recognition for its health benefits, but also for its unique contribution to global cuisine. Camel milk's potential benefits for specific health conditions have also contributed to its international rise. Some studies suggest that it may help regulate blood sugar levels, making it useful for people with diabetes. Other research has explored its role in supporting immune health or even providing relief for certain allergies, while scientific investigation is still ongoing. The possibility that camel milk can contribute to managing chronic conditions has generated significant interest in health and wellness communities. This connection between tradition and modern medicine is one of the strongest drivers behind its global recognition, as it bridges the gap between cultural heritage and scientific innovation. The economic side of this recognition is equally important. As demand increases, countries like Kazakhstan see opportunities to expand camel farming and export products. Farmers who once raised camels mainly for local consumption are now part of a larger industry that connects rural areas with international markets. Camel milk is being processed into powder, capsules, cosmetics, and packaged drinks that can be shipped abroad, giving it a global presence. These developments allow small-scale farmers to participate in broader economic opportunities, while also promoting cultural traditions to the world. Kazakhstan, along with other camel-raising nations, has begun to highlight camel milk as a product that represents both heritage and modern value. Cultural promotion has also played a role in raising the profile of camel milk internationally. Festivals, exhibitions, and food fairs often feature camel milk as a symbol of tradition, health, and sustainability. Tourists visiting Kazakhstan or other camel farming regions are introduced to fresh camel milk and shubat, and many carry these experiences back home, sparking curiosity and demand. Media coverage, documentaries, and online platforms have also contributed by telling the story of camel milk and its importance to communities that rely on it. These narratives add depth to the product, giving it a human and cultural dimension that resonates with global audiences. Sustainability is another reason camel milk is increasingly valued worldwide. Camels are efficient animals that can survive in environments where other livestock cannot, requiring less water and being able to graze on sparse vegetation. In a world where concerns about climate change and resource management are growing, camel milk is being recognized as a sustainable alternative to other types of dairy farming. This makes it attractive not only to health-conscious consumers, but also to those who prioritize environmentally friendly products. The image of camels thriving in harmony with challenging landscapes has become part of the global appeal of camel milk. The growing recognition of camel milk also reflects a broader trend of interest in traditional foods from different cultures. As people explore diverse diets and seek authentic experiences, camel milk fits into the category of unique and culturally rich products that offer both health and heritage. This cultural dimension ensures that camel milk is not just seen as another commodity, but as a meaningful product that connects people to traditions of resilience and survival in difficult environments. Its rising profile demonstrates how a practice rooted in centuries-old traditions can find new life and appreciation on the global stage, supported by both science and cultural storytelling.